Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about outsourcing. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, Frederick, why is, in your opinion, outsourcing software development services gaining traction with non-technical leaders? Because it's cheaper? Because non-technical leaders don't usually understand the cost of incompetence or inefficiency within the IT space, or they don't care. It's a cost. That's usually why. So the thing that people usually like to say about outsourcing is, of course, that I don't know anyone who usually has, apart from managers, which I think are some of them are a little bit naive, I think, but I also know the ones that are really good at this sort of stuff. And they have the thing that I keep on saying to people, which is the thing that dictates everything, and it's the same thing when I hear sometimes people comment on my little channel here, where like their ignorance shines through, where they have opinions about things they've clearly never done, or like they've never been part of, like a situation where they have some ways to go, if I may say so. And the same thing goes for companies. And the difference between a efficiently executed outsourcing initiative and one that is not is that you understand what the fuck your company is doing and what you are buying. That is what you should be able to do, which is unfortunately not that many, because the sad, like, the fact that a lot of the, I don't know, software developers who are afraid that they're going to lose their job to outsourcing, etc., etc. Like the people who have a personal stake in outsourcing are usually the people who are scared of or like have prejudices and so forth. And I don't really, as I said, like I don't really give these people much credit, because they are allowing their own personal experiences and their own personal insecurities to cloud their judgment. But the outsourcing that I've been part of has always been down to the same thing, and that is that the cost is the thing that makes like the big difference. And in some cases that is what you should be doing, and in some cases that's not what you should be doing. And I've been in part in both situations. I work with companies who outsource tons of services to cheaper vendors across the world, and for the most part, the times that they do it right is when they outsource things that do not require strong talent. Because, as I like to say, you cannot outsource talent. It's not possible. Because the whole point of outsourcing is to focus on getting a lower price for a service, and you cannot bulk catch talent. It is not possible. Because when you're usually outsourcing and so forth, you're usually, as I said, you're focusing on something different. It's not, as I've said before, it's not that just because you're outsourcing to somewhere else that you're going to get subpar developers. Not at all. But what it is about is that you're focusing on a different thing. And if you're lucky, you might be able to like find really top talent somewhere in the cheaper parts of the world in a company where you can outsource to. But that's, as I said, usually not the case. Usually the case is that you outsource to people who are willing to do some part of whatever you're doing. It's rare that you find top-notch software developers when you outsource. But it's not that rare to find if very good people who are very good at some part of whatever you're doing. An example would be testers, or people who work in operations, and I'm not talking about like DevOps or anything like that. I'm talking about actually running the systems, making sure, being up at all hours of the day, etc., etc., making sure that the system is still working, so forth and so forth. So there are many situations where I've found that having a company using outsourcing has no real negative impact whatsoever. It's a very cost-effective way of doing it. I like to think of it as you can, when you're designing a product of some sort, you can look at it differently. If you're sort of naive, if you think about a complicated product such as a vacuum cleaner or a computer or a car or something like that, and you go, every single piece of that product is going to be top notch, like all the screws and like the different components, etc., and these are usually provided to you by somewhere across the globe. And as most of us will know, who's built something for real, some of these components are going to be top notch because you got a good price on them, or it's very important to your business model that they are top notch. But some stuff is going to be a little bit cheaper. You're not going to have like super quality throughout all computers or all vacuum cleaners or all cars or so forth and so forth. Some of it is going to be a little bit cheap on the cheap. And it's not like that means that now this product is useless or that that's not a good investment. It's really down to where do you want to put your efforts, right? Because unless you're building like a luxury type of brand type of car, even they probably do make some way offs in terms of pricing for something that is cheaper versus something that is high quality, or the idea being that it should be high quality, because just because you're buying talent from places which are not so outsourcing, that does not mean that you're getting top talent. It's still a good idea to understand that you can, if cost is a factor to you. But as I said, it all comes back to the same damn thing every single time. If you are buying software development services and you do not know how to evaluate, you're pretty much screwed. That's my 2 cents on it. So what I want you to take away from this is that outsourcing is popular by non-technical CEOs or technical leaders and managers and so forth, because it is cheaper and people want things to be as cheap as they can make them without losing too much on the end results or the quality. And that makes outsourcing a very good option for the sorts of companies who have digital systems where they don't feel as if top talent is necessary in that organization. And I've worked for companies like that, guys. I have lost my job to outsourcing. I have. It's been a while now, but it was a few years ago. And if the case situation that happened was actually, it was a perfect case for outsourcing. They were deprecating the product that I was working on because it was an older system that they didn't want to keep anymore, and they were moving to a different system. And so what they did was that they fired me and all of my coworkers, moved all of the maintenance of the system to a cheaper firm somewhere in East Europe, if I remember correctly. And as far as I know, they maintained it. I don't know if that turned out all that well, because I think that they're still maintaining it, and it's years ago now. But that was a good example of a situation where outsourcing potentially made a lot of sense because they were building a new system. I work with companies every day who outsource everything from call centers to manual testing to etc. etc. There are tons of these roles within IT and software development process that are very possible, where it's not going to make a gigantic difference if you outsource or not. But the times it doesn't go so well is when you need a strong quality within your development process and you outsource it without knowing who you're getting. Because guys, this term outsourcing is just a term that has gotten to become a negative byword, and the thing that really makes the difference here, guys, is when you are hiring people, do you know who the hell you're hiring? And trust me when I say this, guys, I have worked with some companies where they might as well outsource because they're so incompetent at hiring software developers that they're basically paying 2, 3, 4 times the price for basically the same output they would get from someone they could have outsourced the thing to. Have a great day.